Hi, my name is Soren Stearns, and welcome back to another one of my vlogs. Today we're going to be talking about Dracula's Daughter. It is a 1936 film, and it is a direct sequel to 1931's Dracula. It's based on a sequel to Bram Stoker's Dracula called Dracula's Guest, and it picks up right after the 1931 film. We see Dracula's daughter, Countess Zaleska, exhuming the corpse of Dracula in order to burn it. She is attempting to rid herself of the curse that she has from being Dracula's father. She's not technically a vampire or undead in that way. However, she does crave blood. Um, After this attempt fails, she runs into a psychiatrist, Dr. Garth, and he tells her that she has to confront her fears head on in order to overcome them. After this attempt fails, Dr. Garth chases her down to Transylvania after Zaleska lures him there after kidnapping his secretary, Janet, who Dr. Garth realizes he's in love with after having kind of this weird relationship. There's a final confrontation at Dracula Castle, and Zaleska tells Dr. Garth that if he steps in the place of Janet in becoming a vampire, he will spare Janet. Zaleska's manservant, Sandor, comes in and shoots her with an arrow. He does this because she promised him the position of becoming a vampire and is instead giving it to Dr. Garth. He feels slighted, wants revenge. Sandor is then shot by a Scotland Yard police officer who had joined them, and everything is happily ever after. Very nice. This film's queer theming is pretty heavy with the Countess. She has a moment with a victim whom she intends to use to overcome her curse after meeting with Dr. Garth. Zaleska gets Sandor to go out and find a subject for a portrait, and he finds a woman standing on a bridge. It's heavily implied that she is going to, or is at least contemplating, committing suicide, and therefore vulnerable. So Sandor approaches her with the promise of food, shelter, drink, anything, if she comes and is the subject of Zaleska's portrait. She agrees and comes back. I think this could be read as the problematic concept that in order for a queer relationship to happen, there's a certain amount of coercing or luring as Sandor lures her back to Zaleska's apartment. We can see this as sort of an attempt at conversion, right? The bite of a vampire often leads to becoming one, not in all cases. We can look at this sort of through the lens of Zaleska attempting to convert this woman, playing into both the idea of queer conversion to heterosexuality, but also potentially suppressed true desires of someone being exposed by another queer enticer. After the woman is brought up to Zaleska's apartment, she asks her to get semi-undressed. She wants sort of the top of her exposed, creating kind of a suggestive situation, especially for a film of the time. It's very scandalous. In the moment that she exposes herself, Zaleska sort of loses her control and dives in to attack her. And we could see this as a coded expression of someone's deep sexual desires that have been repressed, sort of trying to keep them under control, being tempted with exposed flesh, and needing or feeling the need to give in and take what they've been desiring for so long. I enjoy this film for its interesting visual language. I think there are some interesting ways in which they depict the characters in a sort of a interesting racial way. I think that Zaleska's veil is very reminiscent of maybe certain depictions of Romani culture, which translates as Transylvania exists in Romania. And another thing that stood out to me was how Zaleska, when she is burying or burning Dracula, she uses the term Adonai, which is the Yiddish term for God. I did a little bit of research, curious about how maybe Adonai fits into Romani culture, but I didn't find anything, so I guess that's still a question mark I have about the movie. All in all, I think this is a really interesting movie and an enjoyable horror classic. A direct sequel to the original, continues the story. I think that I think that there are. It's definitely not my favorite. I think that there are certainly some slow moments. The finale for sure is the most action we see. Um, I feel like in comparison to the other things we've been watching, it's pretty mundane. However, its queer expression I think is really prevalent throughout the film. All right, thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next vlog.